Hello, I'm Dale Matthews, and I'm joined by Mike Jones. This is our Monday edition of our Inside News. Over this shoulder, I have your entire uh, library of over 750 stories about the county commissioners, about a quarter of them about Simon Hare. And you can go and look at them and find out what was it that he said a year ago. We have these going back because we started this almost exactly 2 years ago. We have these going back 2 years, and of course much further back than that, almost a decade of videos. And over this shoulder I have the logo for the Asahi Shimbun.
Isn't that the new sushi place in town?
Uh, it is the most influential newspaper in Japan. I had
Ah.
I had negotiated to write an article for the Asahi Shimbun at one point, and now they no longer have an English version. I just can't write in Japanese, and it was going to be a story about nanotechnology and how we should be concerned, and the Japanese are concerned about the Chinese, about the Chinese domination of this area or their intended domination in nanotechnology. Mike, you know a little bit about nanotechnology, right?
Hmm. Well, my nana was not much into technology.
Ah, yeah, okay. Well, in this particular case, what it means is they're doing a lot of work down at Baylor University. The Chinese, Americans are at the forefront in innovations in nanotechnology, and the Chinese are buying it up, all of that information, as fast as our universities will sell it to them. This is not an
Hmm.
internet tale. Well, except of course we are on the internet. This is not just one of those apocryphal internet tales. This stuff is real. Now, nanotechnology at this point is taking largely submicroscopic particles, some of them biological, and making them into little machines. You may recall having a microscope or using one in school back in high school. This isn't the same kind of microscope. You need a much more powerful microscope to even see these little bits and pieces. And it's very,
Hmm.
very simple stuff. It's these little machines that then build other little machines. And so you have one machine, for example, that if you think of a gear and it's got teeth around the outside edge, and all this little machine does day and night, round the clock, is make little teeth, 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 teeth for a gear, for a single gear. And then you've got another little
Hmm.
machine right next to it that is both submicroscopic, and all it does is make the little connectors connecting the teeth. Connect, 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 connect. And then they make a full little gear. And that gear's done, and then
Hmm.
they work on the next little gear. Well, okay, so big deal. Well, gears help make tiny little machines. So small that the idea of let's compare it to a human hair is ridiculous because a human hair is many times thicker than, I mean, many times thicker. It's a ridiculous difference in scale. Well, you might say, all right, that sort of sounds interesting. But imagine, just as an example, to try to make this a quicker story, too late, that
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks. If you could,
right.
speed it
This
along.
is this is I was going to write an article for this Shimbun about this, about because they're sort of paranoid about the
Ah.
Chinese more than we might be. But if you can just imagine, on the end of each one of those gears is instead a little razor sharp, it'd have to be much sharper than a razor, little blade. Now imagine that some Chinese soldier or someone, a member of the Obama army or whatever, comes up and does and blows these little gears, these little submicroscopic gears, into your respiratory system.
Oh
And
yeah.
they
No,
enter
you're
your
you're you're
system,
done.
and it's man-made Ebola. I mean, they just go into your system and start chopping up everything, and they do it day and night, day and night, day
Yeah.
and night. Well, the problem with the
I
Defense
can remember.
Department is that they're fighting the last war. I mean, okay, here we are in the internet. This is old technology. Even though you watching this may be relatively new to you. This is old technology. We're fighting the info wars right now. We're always fighting the last war. The new wars, they're not going to be about the internet and about attacking our infrastructure through wires or even through the cloud or whatever you want to call all this. This is going to be about biological parts for computers. You know that they have to grow the next generation of computers. I'm not making this up. And about nanotechnology, brother.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Now you just lost about half of our demographic here. You know.
You asked me about
They're
the
like,
acai Shabbat.
ah.
Okay, all right. But
Well, yes, but you didn't have to tell me the whole story.
I never got to write the story. They no longer have an English edition, and I'm just not going to go out and learn Japanese or Chinese in order to be able to write one article. Just not going to happen. The point of this is
Right.
that, a beautiful segue. Segue is when you go from one kind of subject into another. The segue for this is most of us, especially here locally, and even our Defense Department, we're not ready for new technology and what it actually means. Remember
Mm-hmm.
when I was coming out of the Ann Basker Auditorium and I sort of got criticized just a little bit by Harry Mackin. Harry Mackin was upset because now we're talking about your local Republican Party. I'm not a Republican. I'm an independent. What else would I be? I think, Mike, you're an independent now, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, I have been for a number of years now, probably about 7 or 8 years.
All right, but most of our listening audience, because most of the people in Josephine County, the majority of people in Josephine County are members of the Republican Party, and some of them may still think there are two parties in Josephine County. There's just one party, the Old Boys Network, and then everybody else. Anyway, so this is your Republican Party. It's your Republican Central Committee, the people who make the central
Mm.
decisions for the Republican Party. And they're sitting in a room, according to two eyewitnesses that were sitting right next to Harry Mackin. And the story that they tell, is this true? I wasn't there. Do you think they'd let me into those meetings? I don't think so. And so they said here, they were arguing about something or other that they wanted to do. And Harry Mackin and one other person there said, now, wait a minute. We don't like to, we're not going to go in that direction. And so a member of the Republican Central Committee called for a vote. Now, there was some kind of pause involved here, and Harry Mackin said to the powers that be there, if this passes, it's unacceptable. Well, brother, this is America. No, it's unacceptable. And so they took it to a vote, and it passed. He didn't get his way. So according to the eyewitnesses, Harry said, I want this vote reversed. And it was. He wasn't the only one.
Hmm.
And they threatened that if they didn't reverse the vote in your Central Committee of the Republican Party, who purport to be Americans, if they didn't reverse this vote, that they'd pull the funding, or see that it's pulled, for your Republican headquarters, which is across from the courthouse, and there wouldn't be any Republican headquarters anymore.
To which I would say, so what? You know what? If you're going to sell yourself that cheap, I don't want to be a part of you.
Well, now let's take
You
part.
know,
Let's take Harry Mackin's point of view. This never happened, and Diane and his daughter was like, I was like, Diane, please, use your indoor voice. She was all over me about this. I want to know exactly who it was that told you. I said, Diane, I'm not going to tell you who my sources are. I need to know, and if you don't tell me who the sources are, then you're a liar. And whoa, Harry's not that bad. Okay, let's take his point of view. It never happened, never happened, never happened. Two eyewitnesses that were sitting right next to him got it entirely wrong, and they're independent of each other, and they just can't tell the truth. Old
well,
technology.
listen, you know what? Sometimes you don't need an independent confirmation. When somebody gets that ticked off about it and wants to know your source, They know you're telling the truth. They just want to find out who it is so they can punish them.
I kind of got that impression as well. You think? Yeah, but I don't.
Yes.
If people ask to
Yeah.
tell.
Otherwise, I mean, if somebody came off with some story that was totally wrong, you just go, you are full of it. Where are you getting this stuff?
Right. So anyway, this is the story that they told. So, and I'm imparting it to you because we have two sources. Now, it's not unheard of for two sources to be wrong, but then again, nobody except for Harry and his daughter have questioned this story. Oh, not that I know of, or probably no one that would talk to me. Oh, I'm going to set that guy straight. No one's bothering to set me straight. Here's the point. There is a point. Oh, at last, a point. Okay, the point is, it used to be, the rule used to be, that if one person said something, like an actual journalist, we don't have any here in town, except for Mike, and then some member of the old boys network, you're in the Rotary Club, and you're part of this committee, and you're on that committee or whatever, and this person would say that's not true, and then there'd be this he said, she said kind of thing, where who's telling the truth, and it was always a toss-up, and most people went for the power. They went for the person that could punish you the most if you don't believe them. Well, now, you don't have this lapdog courier with us. All we do is point at this object, which is a digital recorder, and we say, well, there's your answer right there. And they're still trying, they still think, Keith Heck thinks, that they can deny that any of this is the truth. It is the next war, and it's on top of us now. You can't say it never happened. Oh, that's an inanimate object and would lie to you every day. No.
Our nano robots are on the job in pursuit of the truth.
We are thinking about getting a drone, and
yes,
if for no other reason, so that we have control over our own technology. But that's old technology too. Oh no, but it's not even here. Brother, that's
Speaking of which, did you happen to see the some guy flew one of those drones onto the White House lawn, and that guy's going to go up the river for that. And I'm sure he's just out there fooling around and sent this thing over and crashed it, which people always do. And now they're gonna put him through the ringer on that one.
Here's an interesting, what I hope is an interesting question. I'm begging, please have this be an interesting question. So you can have positive control over these things. In fact, you can send them to a pre-designated position. They don't need any control by you. That's why it's not just that's why it's a robot and not just a remotely controlled device. Okay, so you send this thing over the White House lawn. What made it crash?
Oh, user error. You can listen.
No.
You can pick a Oh, yes. Listen, I know this. They showed a picture of it. It's a DJI Phantom, very well-known little helicopter drone. They're not totally, completely automatic. He didn't know what the coordinates were in there. He had no way of sending it in there by that means. I mean, he had to do that, and so he screwed it up. And listen, I have a personal friend that owns one of these things, and he crashes it all the time.
It could totally be an accident. I'm just jumping to an assumption that there are some things protecting the White House lawn. There are electronic countermeasures that can
may
completely
well be.
screw that. I mean, I don't mean that. I mean, they could completely mess up the electronics or the control of such a device and make it crash. Wouldn't you want that at your White House?
Sure. And you know what? That may well be what happened. It may well be.
I have no eyewitnesses. There's not two of them. There's not even Harry Mackin to swear about what happened. So sorry, Harry. Anyway, the point is that Harry, people like Herb Carter, people like Cheryl Walker, and our new chairman of the board, Keith Heck, when he's cognizant of what's happening around him, they feel that all they need to do, they still feel this. They still think that all they need to do is say, no, I never said that, and say it very harshly, and they can get away with it. It doesn't work that way anymore.
You know, I keep waiting for them to, I mean, speaking of deploying countermeasures, I keep expecting that they would just decide to not say stupid things. And if they did not say stupid things, well, that would solve really most of the problem for them.
Absolutely, except do you think that they have any control over themselves? I mean, every time we lay out a little thing, and so therefore, some of the stuff that I say at the podium is based on hoping they're going to have a certain answer to it, hoping that they're going to have that answer, and have not failed once. You might, well, that's an odd way he put that, but I'm waiting for their response, and they're such gophers. I mean, it's just, that's why some people refer to our show and some of our videos as comedy videos, because they fall for it every time. I have to admit, though, I was surprised when Cheryl Walker's long-awaited report about economic development, that its main tenet was that the failure of economic development in Josephine County is due to BadCounty.com. That one I never saw coming.
Well, but that's not the report, is it? I mean,
that's the verbal report. We've been waiting for 6 months.
That's as close to a report. Yeah, that's as close to a report.
We're gonna get. That's
right.
Yes. That's right. Okay, so we're talking about technology overcoming. Technology in the hands of people. Oh, no, not that. Technology in the hands of people that overcomes the tendency of government, our local government, to lie to us. I mean, really, sometimes it just flat out lies. So we have a perfect example for you, and Mike was in charge of the technology on this. Everybody remembers, or you should remember, we're just going to show you the technology part of it. When Keith Heck had made some disparaging remarks about technology workers. Keep in mind, and we'll bring this up on another show, here's Cheryl Walker saying, we're trying to attract high-tech workers. Yeah, what was it that Keith Heck said about high-tech workers who are working for the government? That they're little moles that sneak around and do lesser services. Oh, that's going to attract high-tech workers. Why, we're going to bring all of our high-tech workers to Josephine County and let your county commissioner, Keith Heck, insult them. This is the way we're going to be received. So why don't you go ahead, if you don't mind, Mike, and play that little piece of video, and we can see what Keith Heck actually said. Ooh, I can't hear him. We're not going to hear what he had to say.
Oh, yes, we are. Hang on just a second. Just some technical difficulties. All right, here we go.
What role did the internal services did that play in this discussion of this general IT?
IT is part of the internal service department. Yes.
No, but I mean as far as I'm not trying to demean anything, but the lesser services that are those little moles that sneak around and.
That IT provides just the standard support type work.
Yeah, and is that all incorporated under this picture of having a
correct
IT director?
Correct.
Now, Keith Heck said he never said that.
Role did the internal services?
Right.
Here's our recording.
Right now, the top recording comes from it's the county's video, or the county's audio, that is, and then. Or wait a minute.
Does
the top
matter?
one? The top one's from that's yeah. It doesn't really matter because they're both the same. But no, the top one was from our video, and then the bottom one, which is just starting to play now, is from their own recording.
Okay, but just before you play this, Mike, keep in mind that Keith Heck had said to everybody that we had highly edited this, and we put words in his mouth, and we made him sound like an idiot because of what we did. Okay, so but he forgot, because he's so brilliant, he forgot the county also records this. So what we did is we took the county's version and we compared it to our version. Go ahead and play this one.
Does that play in this discussion of this internal IT?
IT is part of the internal service fund, yes.
No, but I mean as far as I'm not trying to demean anything, but the lesser services.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Little moles that sneak around and.
That IT provides, just
Yeah.
standard support type work. That they
Yeah,
do.
is that all incorporated under this picture of having an
Correct.
IT director?
Correct.
Okay, so I don't think we need to hear it a third time. Go ahead. I don't think we need to hear it.
No, yes. The only thing that we do in the third playing of this on that video is we play them back on top of one another simultaneously, so that you can tell that there's not even the slightest shift between the two. They're exactly the same. Now this is why. When you get up a few levels in government, like to the White House, you make sure that you have all your meetings behind closed doors with no cameras, no recorders. They probably frisk you, and you probably go through an X-ray machine on the way in there, so that you never have a situation like this that's going to happen. Unfortunately for them, they cannot do that at this particular level here.
It's not because they don't want to. I mean, this whole idea of a single point of access to the courthouse, part of it's is centering around this idea of everybody is a potential enemy.
Right.
This stuff is happening right here in Josephine County. This is happening right here. You don't need to go out into the entire county to find laws being broken and the Constitution being shredded. You can find it right in the courthouse.
Yeah, I think it's a little big-headed of them to think that that they are so omnipresent on people's minds that that everybody's plotting, harm against them. That's just weird.
Absolutely. And so what happened was, he said this in the little back room, and I was very careful to put the video up with no commentary. Here's Keith Heck describing high-tech workers who are trying to attract into our area, describing them, our own high-tech workers that work for him, or for county government. And he's describing them as little moles. Oh, there's nothing wrong with that, says Cheryl Walker, that sneak around. Let's skip over that part, and do lesser services. Oh, let's definitely skip over that part. Okay, so here he is saying this embarrassing, stupid thing. It was a stupid thing. Now, what most normal human beings would do is, can we please elect some of those? What they would do is they say, oh, man, have you ever made a mistake in your life? I'm so sorry. I said that was ridiculous. I take all that back, of course. No. Brilliant Keith Eck decides to accuse us,
Right.
of making it all up. And inserting words
Right.
into his test to make him look stupid, when it's not true at all. Of course it's not true. And he thought he could get away with this. Now, we've got a little piece of footage for you about this, and we're also going to use a new little piece of technology that's actually an old one. What? More technology? Yes. For those of you who may recall Mystery Science Theater 3000. It was purported to be a comedy show where they would take cracked old videos, black and white science fiction videos, and they would play them.
B movies.
Definitely B movies, and they would
maybe D movies.
Yes, and then they would put little figures in front of it, and the little figures would make these wry comments. They were usually pretty hilarious about the movie, and so Mike and I had Mike had the idea, like, well, let's do that with certain meetings of county commissioners. So, Mike, I'm going to turn off the lights, and I'll pull out a flashlight here, and we'll make our way into the theater. We'll have to turn our back to the audience. You'll only see us in silhouette, and then we will look at how Keith Heck handled this crisis in public relations. Go ahead and let's see that, and let's get into our chairs. Go ahead, start that.
Okay.
Yesterday, I sent out to
I see us
all
there.
of the
There we are.
department heads
I got my headphones on.
Yeah.
And with the CC.
Hey, what is this? I thought we were going to see Sniper.
All right, so what Keith Heck, his audio went off. So what Keith Heck is saying is that he sent out an email to everybody in the county.
Since I was just made aware of the pending damage that is endeavoring to be made by Mr. Dale Matthews over his highly edited video of my comments.
Okay, wait right there. Okay. Stop that for a second.
I did attempt to ignore his...
Okay.
Okay, so Keith Heck is saying he was just made aware of it. No, actually, he wasn't just made aware of it, so that's little lie number one. It's only a little lie. Of the damage that I'm attempting to do, we put up a video of Keith Heck speaking. He's doing damage to himself, right? Now he's going to say something that he has said, Cheryl Walker has said, Mark Gatlin has said, that he attempted to ignore. Can you roll that back just a little bit, Mike? He attempted to ignore what? Go ahead.
Hey, I've never seen this one. You're ruining it for me here.
I did attempt to ignore his scurrilous remarks made this morning's WBS, but was thankfully made aware that Mr. Matthews' efforts are having his intended effect, causing confusion.
Okay, stop.
Please, would you make your staff aware?
So
scurrilous.
So scurrilous. Scurrilous. What does scurrilous mean? It means vulgar, foul-mouthed, and obscene. Now, hold on a second. Cheryl Walker recently accused BadCounty.com of being scurrious. I think she probably meant scurrilous.
Yes.
It's not scurrious.
I think
scurrious
she did, yes.
Are little moles that sneak around. It's the sound that they make as they're scurrying around. So, and Mark Gatlin said this when I talked a little bit about Rob Brandis and his attempts to, well, he and his group, we don't know what they were intending, but they were changing the license plates on vehicles just before the inspectors arrived. Well, I'm sure there was a completely valid reason for such a thing. Why doesn't everybody just before an inspection? So all three of them, so Mark Gatlin said, these are scurrilous remarks. So scurrilous, Mark, and Keith, and Cheryl. Scurrilous means vulgar, foul-mouthed, obscene, potty mouth. So Keith Heck is accusing me, by playing the video of him saying this, he's accusing me personally of being a potty mouth?
Or scurrilous. And it's kind of silly, actually, because in the video where he's accusing you of that, you haven't said anything. It's him that's saying it, not you.
And also,
but he is a potty mouth sometimes, though.
He is, in fact, more than anybody else. Asinine, you know. He called somebody a slopehead. That's not potty mouth, but that's racist. Because yeah. That is like calling somebody the N-word, except who's Asian. Slopehead. Hey, where did you learn this? At the Gospel Rescue Mission? Really? So now it was Cheryl Walker who had said recently, well, what's this BadCounty crap? Well, that's literally potty mouth. What? Okay, all right, let's see what more. Now, Keith is trying to salvage what's left of his self-respect. Go ahead.
I took my comments and made what I had intended as a compliment into something insulting.
And he was trying to make a compliment.
I have regard for all of the county's employees.
Yeah, that's funny.
Oftentimes sacrificial, being made by them. My remarks, which were twisted, reflected upon how the IT employees, and that was the topic of our conversation, oftentimes are not the frontline, visually noticeable folks, but instead are like the, quote, moles that are hard at work.
Yes,
moles that are hard at work.
Hard-working moles.
Related to IT workers and the valuable task they perform to make everything else work.
Right, yes, that's what he was thinking.
For allowing my comments to be so easily misrepresented.
He allowed his, he's apologized. Stop just for a second. He's apologizing because he allowed his comments to be played back. He's apologizing because he allowed his comments to be so easily misinterpreted by this awful Dale Matthews who just played them on the video. He's apologizing for allowing his comments to be so easily misinterpreted by a videotape that only features him. That dang videotape always misinterprets things. This is his excuse. Go ahead, buddy.
Individual that Dr. Matthews could use, abuse, and misapply my comments. If there is any other step that employees believe that I might make to assure them of my real regard for their fine and supportive labor during these especially trying times.
That'd be $100. Give me $100.
Thank you for making all of your fine staff aware of this email as soon as possible. So that was sent out yesterday.
All right.
Now we're back to us.
Oh, we're in the dark. This must be an intermission here.
Yes. Where's the popcorn? Okay, look, here's the point. He sent this out to department heads using his position as a county commissioner, and he wanted the department heads to take action. Oh, what's this action? I want you to take action to get people, get your employees, department heads, tell your employees that I don't mean any of this, and this video was highly edited, and therefore, now wait a minute. That's misuse of power. You're going to get department heads to get the employees to back up Keith Heck? What, are they supposed to come to a weekly business session and say, it's terrible what technology does to you when you say something and it plays it back, and then, wait a minute, let's see, the video will misinterpret. Now, how does that work? Video doesn't misinterpret anything. That's left up to the audience who looks at what you've said about high-tech workers that you're trying to attract to the community, and then this is what you have to say about them. Takes your breath away. Okay, so what I did is I had a little bit of reaction because he had read. Why do you think we have the video of it? I'm sitting right there, right? This guy decided, instead of just saying, come on, everybody makes a mistake every once in a while, that's human. I don't think that they're really, I really didn't say it anyway. And unfortunately for Keith, the next weekly business session, Cheryl decides to back him up by agreeing that, yes, he did say that. No, Cheryl, what do you think you're doing? Don't say I said it. And
And it was an apt description.
That's right. She agreed with it, that they are moles. Because as everybody knows, little moles that sneak around and do lesser services are the heroes of the community?
Well, she just, you know what, the thing is, she was just trying to back him, and she inadvertently stepped in the mud puddle herself, you know. It just isn't very smart. They should have had, instead of having the conversation about how they were going to cover for one another, they should have had the conversation with, about, hey Keith, how are you going to say, you're sorry that you said this thing about these people, and move on. It would have been done. It would have been over with. But instead, see, the thing is that all you did was you pointed out this little thing, which you were just going to have a little bit of fun with. But instead, his reaction revealed his character, and his character was, "You're lying about that. You edited that together. It's you. You're the bad guy." And Anyway,
we're a tragedy.
That was a stupid
tragedy.
Move.
If you even look at this video, which you're now looking at, according to Cheryl Walker, I'm not making this up, she didn't just say that BadCounty.com is a tragedy. She said it's a tragedy if you look at it. That you looking at this video, that's the tragedy. That's what she actually said. Many people have picked up, she says BadCounty.com is a tragedy. No. She's blaming you. Because you're looking at this video, and that's the tragic part.
Yes.
Really? So
you are part of it. You're part of the tragedy.
You are actually the reason why there's no economic growth in Josephine County. It's not me. I just put the videos up, and it's not Mike.
Right.
We just put them up together. You're watching this, and that's the tragic part. Face up to it. It's your fault. It's not Cheryl Walker for being the economic development czarina. It's you. So face up to it. You're responsible. So I did face up to it. I went to a subsequent meeting, at which point I decided to challenge Keith Heck, and let's see what you can listen to it and see if Keith Heck has any reactions. Here's this video, and let's review this character's attempt to communicate with people. Go ahead there, Mike.
Dale Matthews, Grants Pass.
Oh, we got better seats this time.
2 weeks ago, Keith Heck referred to some county workers as little moles that sneak around.
Oh, that's
I never
scurrilous.
get tired of seeing this guy talk.
And Cheryl Walker agreed with him.
She
She
did.
said mole is probably a very apt description.
Oh, what an idiot. I mean, that
That's
wasn't
nice.
very smart.
The same day that I mentioned this, Keith Heck sent out an email as a sitting commissioner to all the department heads in the county, urging them to defend his honesty and pointing out that the video that I made in the little back room, aptly named, was highly edited.
Where's the comedy part?
Highly edited. And that essentially I was putting words in his mouth, and he asked county employees to spend county time and county payroll in explaining to their workers that Keith Heck is the aggrieved party here.
And he's not looking up at all. He won't even look
That
at
I
me.
had simply, I guess,
thought this was
inserted
going to be a
words
little
into
more
his mouth.
dramatic than this.
Highly edited.
You could have heard a pin drop.
Words that were important in that entire meeting. Little moles that sneak around. So, Mr. Heck, where did the cuts happen? Even a single cut between what? Little and moles? Between sneak and around? Highly edited usually indicates more than one edit, more than one cut. But you're not even looking at me. Can't even be that honorable to even look up and see that you're being addressed. Well, I tell you what, let's make it easy on you. All you need to do is just pick 2 words, even a single cut.
Oh, I got
between
something in
2
my
words,
pocket
and
here.
I'm going to make it even better for you.
I
There's
hope
5
that's
words.
what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Here is $5,000, Mr. Heck.
Oh my
Well,
God.
I made you
I
look
borrowed the money. I borrowed it.
$5,000.
That
oh
is
no,
5,000.
that's your money.
All you need to do to retain any semblance of your supposed honesty
And for this,
is
he
to
looks
point
up.
out where the cut happened. There's 5 words. Just point out where the cut happened.
There's a pizza
And
party
this
after the meeting
$5,000
here.
for 5 words is yours right now. Someone's going to walk out of this room looking honest. Someone's going to walk out of this room looking like a big fat liar.
A big fat liar.
Say it.
There were no edits.
He looked up for the
only
first
thing that I did
time.
is nobody wants to watch an hour-and-a-half meeting. I condensed it down to just your discussion. All you need to do is just point it out.
Your time is up, Mr. Matthews.
Your time is up.
Keep
Mr.
in mind, we have
Matthews.
the county
Mr.
recording to
Matthews,
compare
your
to.
Mr.
time
Matthews,
is
shut up.
up.
You're, don't.
Mr.
Exactly.
Matthews, your
Everybody
time
gets
is
to
up.
speak another.
So it's Mr. Heck.
Yeah, I'm saying, and your time is
Anyone
up
else
for
want
Mr.
to
Heck.
speak on anything of relevance?
Anything
relevance?
of relevance. Anyone else want to speak about anything of relevance?
Yes.
This is our time to
'Cause
talk
that's
about
it.
anything that we want to.
Well, and you know, relevance. That was relevant.
It was
That was
relevant.
relevant to
But
this-
even if it
I mean,
wasn't
you-
relevant, we're not restricted to things of relevance according to the government. I'm not against all government. I'm against this government. Every once in a while, they try to say, well, you know, the mood of the people in the country. This is not about the mood of the people in the country. This is about 3 individuals that just flat out lie to us. And here's my question to you, and then I'll try not to do all the talking. Too late. We allow, after this debacle, after this disaster, Keith Heck, we still allow Keith Heck to walk among us as if he's a regular human being, How can he even walk into the ambassador with his head up after being shown to be a big, fat liar? And I mean, really, there's lots of other ways to put it, but I mean, what's the truth? How we allow him to walk among us as if he is a regular human being, and he's even now the chairman. But how can he possibly be lecturing us about decorum at meetings? How can he possibly go talk to the high school students that show up and say, you know, government work is an honorable? No, he's made it. How can he possibly, oh, I was a Marine. You know, they say you can never stop being a Marine. This guy has stopped being a Marine because Marines would never lie like that.
One would hope, yes. One would hope that that would be the case. But, you know, part of the problem is we keep electing these people. You know, we keep sending these same type of people in there, and you know what? You know, Simon is very good at rote memorization, and you know, and Cheryl beat Bob just by 67 votes or something 62, like that, and I'm sorry, 62. And you know, and Simon has a bigger sign than most people. So I mean, these are the criteria that has placed these people here at this point. So we're going to have to start doing a better job than that. I mean, it's not you probably don't get too many points for criticizing your audience. However, you know, we're going to have to do better than this. I know that at that point we did have better candidates. We had people that could have been better at least one of those jobs, and it's a marginal line there. But we also need better candidates too. I mean, if you are a decent and honest person, it's really all you need to be. You don't have to be very smart to be one of these commissioners.
Well, we can see that.
We should know that by now.
Now,
yes.
I'll get a lot of flack from people saying, well, how can you possibly say this about a guy that nearly sacrificed his life for our country? Don't forget that this guy came back from his service in the Marine Corps and then went straight to the Socialist Party. He said this. We have it on tape. That's the first thing that he did after getting back to America in the early 60s when it meant a lot more to a lot more people. The first thing he did after being a Marine was to join the Socialist Party. Now, okay, think anything that you want to, but I'm saying that you can no longer claim to still be, I'm saying it again, a Marine when one of their mottos, maybe the most important one of all the service, is I will not lie, cheat, or steal, nor tolerate those who do.